Hi there, so I'm going to be attaching all the fur for you in this part. This is part 5 of my 8-part series. I've realised I keep sort of forgetting to say that. Starting out with lining the ears, I almost always line my ears with fleece instead of fur. You can add fur tufts if you'd like to. But if you're just going to trim fur, sometimes it's easier to use fleece. It airbrushes well. You can glue it on nice and flat. It's, well, far more inexpensive than fur. So you can just cut a piece and then glue it into the ear as you need to, as opposed to making a pattern. So that's basically what I do, just measure out approximately how big the piece needs to be, and then cut that piece out of, the meter of fleece that you have. And then just glue it in progressively, making sure to press all air bubbles out as you go. Gluing it securely around the edge and trimming it off. Make sure you don't cut it too short. You can see on, well, you can't see it anymore, but you could see the blue line that I had drawn on the foam of the right ear, if you're in the perspective of the fursuit head, which was where I was going to put the fur, so don't trim past that, basically. I'm not too fussy with gluing ears on. Most seams I'll turn under the edge, but with ears I just sort of very carefully glue up to the edge and press them on. If there's small gaps, you just glue in the gap a little bit. You don't have to worry too much with air bubbles. I say air bubbles, it's not quite the right word. But because it's fur, it has a lot of give, and because I won't be trimming it, I don't need to make sure there are no wrinkles. You shouldn't see any wrinkles, because it's all cut to pattern. And definitely tack the fur down in places. I'll also airbrush over the seams on the ears, so it'll be fine. First step is to turn over the seams on the eyes and the nose before you glue the fur on. If you do it after, you risk getting glue on the eyes or nose, and it's awful, don't do that. So just a little bit of glue along the edge and just fold the edges under themselves. It just makes them look a lot neater when it's on the fursuit head. I recommend you make sure that it's trimmed to the right length and even before you do this. I knew it was because I had checked as I went along, but obviously if you're not aware of doing that, then you'll want to check before you do it. You just saw how dark it was when I turned my lights off, so I'm definitely not going to do that. Always start from the nose. Glue down around the nose really tightly. Gluing is difficult. Because I don't like any small wrinkles or anything in the fur, any gaps where there's not glue that go across the fur pile. You don't want that, because then when you trim it, the fur wrinkles up and you'll get like an extra long patch next to an extra short patch. So you've got to glue almost everything. Press the fur down really tightly as you go. I like to brush it as well, because it obviously flattens all of the fur. All the brush bristles help to push all those little bits of fur down. You're going to want to smooth the entire head out as you go. If you're gluing the nose, don't just glue the nose, put the fur on, and then glue the next bit and put the fur on. What you want to do is glue the nose and then put the entire head on and make sure all of the fur around the mouth is in the right place. Oh, turn the mouth seams under as well, I forgot that part. All the fur around the mouth is going to be even. Make sure it all fits around the eyes properly, and you'll want to do that and press it all down as it dries. I've done it a fair few times now, so I sort of have a system that I like to follow, but that's something I definitely recommend for anybody who's not made many fursuit heads, if any at all. Constantly check the fit, press it all down, check the fit, press it all down. You have to keep doing that, because else you just risk so much, and you don't want to mess it up at this stage, because it is far too late to do that. All of the fur is now glued on, as you can see. Except for the mouth. I haven't turned that part under yet. I do like to do that afterwards, so I can make sure that it's symmetrical and fits properly. So I always make the mouth a little bit too long. I do recommend watching all of my tutorials before you try anything, just for reasons like this. So I'm trimming it all down properly. Again, dust mask because of fur. Gluing it all down as snugly as possible. This is the first time I've done it this way, where I haven't sewn just below the nose, so I can glue the muzzle down separately afterwards. That's because I've had a lot of problems with the muzzle with wrinkles in the past, and I've got to say it worked out really well doing it this way, so I think I'm going to carry on doing it like that. I'm just turning all of the fur edges over. Don't get the fur caught in the glue, just the backing. Obviously you don't want just fur turned under itself and then glued to the head. That would just look unsightly. Make sure the nozzle of your glue gun is clean. That's quite important. The nozzle of glue guns do attract fur a lot when you're you know, gluing under fur on heads. So I've just sewn under the nose, as you can see that. Now obviously the lower jaw. You have to make sure your gluing lines are neat, so the glue doesn't come out visibly from the seams, so you don't glue any fur that you don't need to glue. And also there's no gaps, which is very difficult. You will have to, well, you probably have to go back and fill in some gaps if you did it sort of without going too far. So now I'm just trimming up around the eyes, making sure the fur is even, really. Making sure it's the same on both eyes, so there's still a little bit of eyelid there, because I just hate it when you can't see any eyelid. I think it just closes the eyes in and it doesn't look natural at all. You have to be careful not to get glue on the eyes. Very careful. Just stick to the foam eyelids. Try not to let the glue be visible on the foam eyelids. You can add actual eyelids out of felt, which I will do later. I add eyelashes along the top, which hides that entire top line of felt, which is really good. But you don't want to put felt on all of the eyelids on every side because it will just look silly. It's difficult matching both eyes up, but at the same time I always airbrush a little bit of black around my eyes, so it's not the end of the world if it doesn't match up with the foam, because when you airbrush it black, or paint it black if that's what you're going to do, or if you don't have an airbrush you can dry brush it, it all blends together anyway. Gluing the fur in the ears is very difficult. I haven't added air vents on this one. I did on the one I made after this, which I might keep doing. You just have to be really careful not to get the glue on the inside of the ear when you put the fur in. As you can see, more trimming. Now that all the fur is glued on, I can do the final trimming. I'll trim a lot more of the face down and the long tan fur. Again, it's not an easy job at all. I really hate trimming. It takes me hours. I don't have a top quality pair of clippers, so it doesn't take very much off at any one time. I do a lot with scissors as well as clippers just to even bits out. It all just depends on exactly what I'm doing at the time. You can see how close I'm trimming the fur. It's difficult to get it perfectly neat. So long as it looks it, then that's the important part. Trimming around the mouth is quite difficult, and I do a lot of that with scissors just to cut more off at a time and make it completely uniform along the entire mouth edge. Lots of close attention, lots of time. It's a very long process. Trimming around the eyebrow ridges is very difficult, depending on how deep the ridge is. You may have problems following the contour of the eyebrow line with the clippers effectively. I feel like I've sort of got that down at the moment, but it's taken a lot of practice to get to that point. Fur does go everywhere while you're trimming as well. It'll get stuck in the mouth, it'll get stuck in the eyes, inside the head. I don't know how it gets there, but it does somehow, so you're going to have to pay close attention to that. It's not a problem, you can just brush it all out later on. Just make sure you know it's there, so you don't, put the head on and go out for a convention and choke on loose fur, or so you don't glue the tongue in and instead you just glue the tongue to a load of fur. That would be, not good, because the tongue would just fall out. I try to start with the muzzle and trim outwards, as with everything really, gluing it on and all that too. Always start with the muzzle and work outwards, because that's going to be the shortest part, and then you can gradient the fur as you go, as necessary really. Sorry about the noise, it's just started raining and I have a window above my head which the rain is landing on. As you can see in the video, actually, it's a angled window too, just to be awkward. Lots of neatening up on the edges. Getting in the crease in the edge of the mouth as well, where you will be gluing the fleece or felt later, that's a very awkward part, and you need to take a lot of care with that. Make sure it's really short. The bit where you're actually going to glue the little triangle, just for want of a better word, that has to be almost no fur there at all. Doesn't matter if it's wonky. I'll actually show you that when I do it later, because I trim it a lot closer then. So again, rough trimming with scissors, following the angle of the fur, the direction of the fur even, and then go over it in clippers just to smooth out all of the little lines that I've cut in. Also the bits where different colours of fur meet, they're very, very important to get neat. With the top of the eyebrows it's not so bad because I will be gluing eyebrows over the top anyway, but on things like the ivory fur to the tan fur, you'll want that to be a nice even line, no uneven shaving at all, it's got to be perfect. It'll be very, very visible if it's not. Again, keep your desk clear. It's very helpful to just tidy up as you go along by picking bits up with your hands. Okay, so that's finished. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you during part 6. Yeah, bye.